a letter from a man in deep. Said his house ain't a home and he's losing sleep. Wife cold as steel, vibe off track. Asked me how the hell to get his edge back.
What's going on, guys? We did not get a sponsored video for you guys today, but I do have some interesting content. So I was excuse me. So I was looking around on the old married, or not the Married Red Pill, but the Red Pill archive, and I found this really interesting post from 2017 by a guy named the Gold Dog. And it's on Stoicism. And he came up with 3 really practical tools that you can use from Stoicism that I thought would be good. And the title of his article is, I have been practicing Stoicism for 3 years now, and the quality of my life has increased dramatically because of these 3 exercises. One from each of the greats, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Try them and tell me what you think in 2 weeks. What I really like about Stoicism is it really is good for your own mental health. You know what I mean? Like, you're really just focusing on what you can control in life and letting go whatever you can't control in life. Man, it allows you to let go of so much, like depression and anxiety and just worry, general worry, like all that kind of stuff goes out the window when you can master your mindset, And so I think this kind of stuff is really good. So let me just drop a link to it here in the chat. You guys can read along if you want. But we'll just start off here. He says, practical Stoicism tools. Stoic philosophy is on the rise. I have been practicing it for a couple of years now and would like to share 3 of the most effective and practical mental exercise / meditations that I have used. Method 1, a view from above. Now, this one's pretty interesting because it allows you to almost take a third-party observer effect on your life and your problems and everything going on, all the stuff that you're worried about. It allows you to really see how insignificant your problems are. At the end of the day, in the grand scheme of the universe, your BS that you're dealing with on a daily basis is meaningless at the end of the day. So this is a kind of a cool one. So a view from above. And he's got a quote here from Marcus Aurelius. You can rid yourself of many useless things among those that disturb you, for they lie entirely in your imagination. And you will then gain for yourself ample space by comprehending the whole universe in your mind, and by contemplating the eternity of time and observing the rapid change of every part of everything. How short is the time from birth to dissolution, and the illimitable time before birth, as well as the equally boundless time after dissolution. So that was Marcus Aurelius. So my man says, Marcus Aurelius advises us to perform an exercise called view from above. This exercise involves us envisioning ourselves from the third person. In this vision, we zoom out while keeping ourselves in the center. We continue zooming out and contemplating the scale of the universe. For instance, your first zoom might encompass a view of you from above the roof of your house. Increase the magnitude and you might see a view of your street. Increase the magnitude, you might see a view of your country. Keep going until you can picture a view of Earth from the stars. With this scale, we can gain a better perspective on the insignificance of our problems. When compared to the universe, whatever problems we might appear, we might appear incredibly trivial. For instance, if you were feeling down because a girl flaked on you or someone insulted you, try this exercise. It is far easier to overcome the emotional hurdles we experience when we put things into perspective. You know what's interesting about this, though? Because I'm an NLP practitioner, and what this is actually doing, it's actually an NLP technique. It's called dissociation, right? And it allows you to visualize something from a third-party observer And one way that we do this in NLP is like, we'll have you in a movie theater, right? We'll have you in a movie theater, and then whatever's bothering you, whatever you're anxious about, whatever you're depressed about, we'll have you picture that event on the movie screen, like you're in a movie, like playing in a movie. And then we'll invite you to like jump into the movie screen and like live that experience, right? Like imagine yourself back wherever it was that pissed you off, or that you're thinking about too much. And that's called association, right? So it's putting you back into that moment. It's making you feel the feelings that you had in that moment. Okay. Then we'll say, okay, now step back out of the movie and go sit down in the seat and turn around and watch the movie. And then you can see it play out as a third party observer, right? And then if you're still feeling the negative, emotions that we're trying to get rid of, we can take that back a step further. So like he's saying, you keep going one step up, right? Well, from this perspective, you sitting in the movie theater, you can now imagine yourself as someone else on the other side of the theater watching you watch the movie. And then, so you can actually take this back multiple steps in your mind to disassociate from whatever's bothering you. It's a fascinating way, that a fascinating technique that will take you out of those emotions that you're having in the moment, right? It's kind of fascinating. So it's really cool that Marcus Aurelius, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, God, when was he the emperor of Rome? 1,000 years ago? Like what was it now? And someone look that up for me, would you? But he was basically, through Stoicism, practicing NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Isn't that fascinating? All right. So method 2 is negative visualization. And this one comes from Seneca. Remember that all we have is on loan from fortune, which can reclaim it without our permission. Indeed, without advance notice. Thus, we should love all of our dear ones, but always with the thought that we have no promise that we may keep them forever. Nay, no promise, even that we may keep them for long. Seneca. You know what? When I was preparing for this episode and I'm reading this, I'm like, you know what that sounds a lot like in the red pill space? Sounds a lot like she's not yours, it's just your turn, isn't it? Right? Which, when I first started studying the stuff and first started getting into podcasting or whatever, I heard that. And it was those red pill guys that would say that crap all the time. And I was like, that is such a toxic thing to say. What a terrible mindset to have going into a relationship. What do you mean she's not yours, it's just your turn? That's disgusting, misogynistic bullshit, right? But then after being in the space for a long time and studying with some of the greats like, Rollo Tomasi and Ryan Stone and like all the Rule Zero guys and stuff like that, I come to realize that the she's not yours, it's just your turn is largely what Seneca's teaching here, right? It's basically like you're grateful for what you have, but nothing lasts forever. And you have to be okay with that. And if you can let go of that kind of attachment to outcome, you're likely to have a much better experience with your family. Like, I mean, geez, like if you thought that your girlfriend or your wife was going to die tomorrow, like how much more would you love them because you have them right now, right? Right now in this moment. Wouldn't you be more grateful for them if you knew it wouldn't last forever? Something to think about. Negative visualization, despite the name, is an exercise that will increase your default level of happiness if practiced consistently. The exercise consists of you envisioning what it would feel like if you lost certain things from your life. Some of the things that you could consider during the exercise are how it would feel to not have a roof over your head, how it would feel to lose social status, how it would feel to live in a third world country, how it would feel to have a physical disability, how it would feel to lose a loved one, right? These are all things where, if you're not grateful for what you currently have, It makes no sense for the universe to multiply it 1,000 times, right? Like if you don't care about what you have now. So largely this exercise is to force you into a state of gratitude, to be grateful for what you already have. You know what's funny about this one here, how it would feel to live in a third world country? I was in the Navy, right? I was in the Navy. I've been completely around the world. I've been to several third world countries, and they're absolute shitholes, right? Absolute shitholes to live there. People are living in absolute poverty and squalor and filth and all that kind of stuff. And it really does make you grateful to live in such a wonderful country like the United States, you know? And it almost breaks my heart when you see certain political factions talk about how shitty America is and America was never great and all this kind of stuff. And like politics aside, it's like, have you ever been to some of these shills outside of the United States? Like what an amazing opportunity it was to even be born here. You know what I mean? So that kind of thinking is really allows you to go, okay, yeah, maybe what if? And I invite some of you guys to go visit some of these countries, you know, like there's the people in those countries, there's nothing wrong with them, right? But it's way better here. It's way better here, right? Okay. Anyway, this exercise is not meant to be dark or morbid. It's meant to put things into perspective, allowing you to see how lucky you truly are. It also prepares you for the worst case scenarios in which one of these things does happen to you. You are not meant to fixate on these thoughts, but consider them from time to time. And then he says, this is a very practical way for you to practice gratitude naturally. When you consider things being removed from your life, you start to gain a sense of gratitude. Now, gratitude is important because of a thing called hedonic adaptation. Basically, it's a term that defines the tendency for humans to always go back to their default level of happiness, right? Like how much are you guys taking for granted on a daily basis? How much are you taking for granted? Like you have a roof over your head, you have food in the fridge, you know, you have a wife and you're pissed at her half the time because she's annoying as shit, right? But if you take a minute to think on like, well, what if I didn't have this, right? Now, some of you guys might be in marriages where you're like, I wish I didn't have that bitch, right? I wish I didn't have this bitch with me, right? But for other ones, you truly do love your wife. You're just taking her for granted, right? And vice versa. She's probably taking you for granted too. That all of learning dread game and all that kind of stuff is about teaching guys to not be taken for granted in their own relationship, because as soon as you let yourself be taken for granted, that's when attraction starts going away and she starts losing respect for you and all that kind of stuff, right? But how much in reverse? How much are you taking like your job, for instance, for granted, or the car that you have for granted? You know, you probably like we all do it. We all do it, you know, we all do it. It's funny because, you know, I really study a lot of the woo-woo stuff and you know, Neville Goddard's really big on, you know, feeling the wish fulfilled and all that kind of stuff when it comes to that sort of thing. And when you really think about it, like once you have certain things, like, and it becomes normal to you, like you're very indifferent to it. Right? You're not like falling on your knees in gratitude for everything that you get all the time. Like you might be excited in the moment when you know, achieve a goal or whatever, but you don't dwell on it for like weeks and months on end. You usually are like, you know, relieved that it happened. You might be grateful in the moment, but once it becomes like your normal, you forget about it. It's just like how life is, you know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to think about. So it is good to practice some of this kind of stuff just so that you don't take everything for granted eventually, you know. It's kind of good. Something to think about. Method 3. This is the last one here. Method 3, voluntary discomfort. I don't like this one. I don't like this one. He says, but neither a bull nor a noble-spirited man comes to be what he is all at once. He must undertake hard winter training and prepare himself and not propel himself rashly into what is not appropriate to him. Epictetus. So the last exercise has been advised to us by Epictetus. It's called voluntary discomfort. In this exercise, we are going to deliberately put ourselves through uncomfortable situations. We will do this in order to train ourselves to not hold on to comfort with such high regard. We can perform voluntary discomfort in a number of ways. Some suggestions are cold showers, no FAP, exercising in the morning, walking in the cold without a jumper, fasting for a day, or sleeping on the floor. Cold showers, that's a hard pass. No FAP, forget that shit. Exercising in the morning, I can do that. I like to exercise in the morning in the middle of the summertime because I like to do cardio outdoors, and I can't run anymore, but I like to go bike riding. And if I go bike riding when it's 101 outside, like, it's disgusting. So I'll get up in the morning to go work out when it's cooler, not so that I could add discomfort to my life though. But sometimes I'll go for a bike ride in the middle of the afternoon sun and it'll be hotter than shit. That's pretty discomforting. Today I was looking at the weather and it's been kind of stormy today, but like around 11 a.m. this morning, maybe 10:30, 11, it wasn't raining yet. It was down in the 40s. And I was like, you know what? I can go for a bike ride today. Let me just put on an extra jacket and maybe get some gloves on, because with the wind chill, it's like 20 degrees colder as you're moving. And so I put on that stuff and I went out and everything was mostly okay until the last like mile and a half. And then it started fucking hailing on me. And then and I was trying to like go as fast as I could to get out of the hail, but I still wasn't there was no cover. And I was like, I'm doing my workout. And I had already read this and I'm like, I'm putting myself through some discomfort here. So I was getting whipped in the face with fucking hail and shit. I'll do that kind of stuff. I'll do that kind of stuff. Walking in the cold without a jumper. I don't know about that. Fasting for a day. I don't know about that. Sleeping on the floor. Probably I could do that. I could sleep on the floor. You know what else I like to do? I like to go camping. I like to go camping in a tent. I like to tent camp. Not be out in a trailer where it's like you got heater on, although that is nice, but I like to go up in the woods and actually sleep in a fucking tent and stuff like that. So I'll do that kind of thing. But that's fun. That's fun for me. I don't know. Does it count when it's fun? I don't know. Anyway, all these things will change your relationship with comfort. Once you overcome the need for comfort, life will become much easier. Setting your goals and sticking to them will be far easier. When most people complain about being uncomfortable, you won't be able to relate. You are literally training yourself to be like a Navy SEAL. This method will harden you up for life. I don't know about this. Okay. This is cold showers, no FAP, exercising in the morning, walking in a cold without a jumper, sleeping on the floor. That you think that's training for Navy SEALs? I think that's a bit exaggerated. I don't know. I wasn't a Navy SEAL, but in the Navy, like we did have to deal with a lot of bullshit, and that did kind of prepare me for life. So for instance, when I was working 9 to 5, I would almost never call in sick, almost never, because when we were in the Navy, you still have to show up to the ship to go to muster and then request permission to even go to sick call. So you still had to fucking go to work. You could not just call in and say, I can't make it today. I got the sniffles and shit. Right. So I just don't get it. I don't mentally get it just because of the years in the Navy. I'm just like, fucking suck it up, man. Suck it up. Change your socks and take some ibuprofen. That'll do you. That'll do you good. Anyway. Okay, so let's see here. Eventually, shit will hit the fan at some stage during your life. You want to have mental and physical. Oh, okay. You want to have mental and physical fortitude to weather the storm. So those are the 3 Stoic exercises. Stoicism is a practical philosophy that has survived the test of time due to its universal applications. If you practice these Stoic meditations, you will be well on your way to the good life. Yeah, and really all these things, everything about Stoicism is all about working on what's up here and how you look at things and changing how you look at things and looking at things from a different perspective. it's all the kind of stuff that I teach in Psychology Paradigm. In fact, there's a lot of Stoicism in all of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series. So if you guys haven't gotten those, I'll drop a link to my book, and you can find the rest on Amazon yourself for those. But that's all I got for this one. Let's take a look at the chat, and then we'll wrap up here. Brother Phil's in the house. He says, hoota. I think he means hoorah. Dark Fitness says, smashing that like button is alpha as fuck and free. That's right. If you guys don't want to sponsor an episode, at least you can drop a like, right? Yes, the wolves are in the house. Give me a 2 sweet, guys. Give me a 2 sweet. Let's see. Jumper, Paul in the UK now. This guy must have, because I don't say jumper, right? What was that one? It was like going out in the cold without a jumper. Is that a hoodie? Is that what a jumper is? Is that a hoodie? Is that backpacking is camping on hard mode? Yes, I've always wanted to do that too. I have this big, huge backpack, and I have like a really tiny bedroll. And I was going to do that years ago, and I still haven't done that. I need to make time to do that. Brother Mike says, cold showers give me a high. Love it. Sounds disgusting. Cold showers release hormones. Can't remember which ones. It's fight or flight. Things like cloud plunge, kind of like cloud plunge. Cold plunges. Fucking hell. Cold plunges. I did a cold plunge years ago. I went to a men's retreat with Benny Lichtenwallner. If you guys are on TikTok, he's Coach Benny. He does breakup coaching now. He's one of my 3% brothers. We came out of the 3% man group together. And so he was throwing this men's retreat in Lake Lanier, Georgia. Fucking awesome. One of the best experiences of my life. It was great. And one of the activities that he had for us was to do a cold plunge. And that was hell on earth. And I remember, I think 3% brother Ryan went in first, maybe. And then I went in second, and my game plan, because, I was in martial arts and stuff, which I talk about in Psychology Paradigm. Mr. Bode was really big on, like focus and stuff like that. And, you can get your mind off things by focusing on things. And then in the military, we had we had to have our military bearing. And so it was really good to just focus on something. So I was like, I'm going to pick a point on that tree, and I'm just going to lock on it and focus on that point. And so that's what I did. I got in the ice water. I immediately just went all in. And then I just focused on that tree and just zoned the fuck out. And that got me through. And we had to sit in there what felt like 3 days, but I think it was probably only like 30 seconds or a minute. I don't know. I don't know. It felt like forever. And that is relativity. Okay. Anyway, Brother John says cold showers release hormones. Can't remember which ones. Kind of like cold plunges. He put that in there twice, but he fixed all the typos. Okay. I appreciate that, man. All right, guys, that's all we got for this episode. Tune into the podcast tomorrow. We're going to be talking about why a lot of online dating advice, dating and relationship advice, and all the books just aren't moving the needle for you. And all these ideas come from a guy known as Chest Rockwell, who is a little bit of a legend in the married red pill space. You probably never heard of him, but it should be a good one. He did a sit-down chat with Rob Says several years ago, and I think it's a 2-part series called the Utah Sit Down or the Salt Lake City Sit Down or some shit. Anyway, he talked about like all this stuff, and I really wanted him to come on the podcast after he did that one to go over this stuff, because it was really like eye-opening stuff and stuff a lot of you guys probably haven't thought about. And so I was looking for ideas, and I came across Rob's channel, and I go, you know what? Fucking Chesty was talking about this shit. It was talking about, thinking about women in the abstract and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I've always wanted to talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast. Why don't I just grab all the notes from that? And so that's what I did. So we'll present Chesty's ideas with or without that guy. It's going to be a good one, but that's all we got, guys. Do be sure to tune into the podcast tomorrow, like I just said. Otherwise, we'll see you at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Storm by folding your sail. She don't a man who won't bail. No handouts, no talks, no playing it safe. Earn your ground or get replaced.